how's it going? It has been quite some time since I have uploaded anything on this channel. The last thing I made was a 2022 reflection. It's 2024. Like many people, I am using the new year as momentum to start/get back into things that I've been putting off. And one of those things I really want to be a bigger priority this year is video content creation. It is something that I really love. It is something that I engage with a lot on a day-to-day basis. And I have a lot of ideas that I actually want to create. So here we are at the beginning of 2024, and I'm just jumping in. Today I'm just gonna walk through my Notion dashboard. I am really big into planning, and I also started as a full-time artist in the last quarter of 2023. I use Notion every single day to organize not only my personal life but also my business. And so I want to walk through my overall Notion dashboard and how I use it. It's given me a lot of structure. I started using Notion in 2023. It's something I had mildly dabbled in 2022, but never really fully found my flow. And now I really feel like I've gotten it. So I wanted to share that just in case this is inspo for you. If you've never heard of Notion, it's a really cool free software. It is really modular and really flexible. So if you like creating digital planners or are used to maybe a paper planner and you want to go digital, I know I find it very convenient to have both. I plan both in Notion and in a Hobonichi Techo Cousin. I will share my Hobonichi 2024 setup in a future video. I really love how I've figured out how to use Notion. It works really well for me. I feel like in general I've gotten a really good handle on all of the things that I need from it. And if you are a student or you run a business or you're just like a normal person who wants to add a little bit more structure into your life, I feel like generally my setup is really good for that, and it's been really working for me. And as someone who 99% chance has ADHD, I need structure in my life. And since I work for myself, there's no one to give it to me but myself. Rambling aside, I just want to say welcome back if you're joining me after my long hiatus off of this channel. And if you're finding me for the first time because you were looking for inspo for your Notion setup for this year, hey, welcome in. I'm Joe. I think I forgot to say that. I definitely forgot to say that. Anyway, let's get into it. Welcome into my Notion dashboard for 2024. I did record a little bit of me putting this together. And when I thought I was done, I stopped recording, and then I immediately went and changed most of it. So I'm recording again just to walk through it fully, and it's not going to be a set it up together with me. It's going to be more of a tour. So it is what it is. Anyway, welcome in. I like to have most of my dashboard within one screen view. So I have a very large screen, which is why I can fit so much on here. I don't like to be scrolling through things endlessly. If I don't see it immediately, the chances are that I will go look for it is very low. And so having everything I need within one panel has generally been what works for me. I can show you my old dashboard here. I put it under an archive. I keep all of them. This looks a little bit different than it did just because I've changed some of the colors and assets of widgets that I use. That being said, this was the layout. It worked really well. I will say I really loved my year of using this setup, and really the only big difference now is that I have zhuzhed it. It looks a little bit different, as you can see, and I will walk through the things that I have kept and the things that I decided not to bring into this year. But overall, this worked really well for me. I had some big goals. I had the weather because it just helps. I also have the time because it might seem really silly because I obviously work and will be looking at this on a computer or a phone where the time is in the corner, but as someone who's completely time blind, having the time really big on the screen helps me stay on top of the things that I need to be doing. I also have a Pomodoro timer as well as some playlists, as this is a little lo-fi playlist that I use when I'm working sometimes, and this is just crackling campfire sounds. They're great, but I actually didn't end up using them from here very often. I will just have Spotify open on my computer, and so I'm more likely to use that, and I didn't end up using this feature that much. It looks cool. Didn't really use it very much. Same with these, the books read and the journal entries. These are widgets through Indify. So is the calendar and the weather. And I liked having these at the beginning of the year because these were habits that I was really trying to get into. Reading and journaling were two things I wanted to make a larger part of my life in 2023. Reading, I was a huge reader as a child. I carried around a minimum of 6 reading books, like alongside my school books, to the point where I needed a rolly backpack because it was giving me back pain in 2nd grade. You know. Then I kind of stopped reading for pleasure in college and wanted to get back into it. I definitely did. I'm not even entirely sure how many books I read. It was definitely more than 11 because I think the last time I checked my story graph in like mid-August, it was like 17. Now, I just read and I don't need to keep track of it. And when I do keep track of it, I do it in Storygraph, not on this widget. But when I was getting started with it, it was definitely helpful to have a little, almost like just numerical, like little reward. And gamifying my life is something that I typically tend to do, especially with good habits and things like that, just because it gives me structure. Same with journal entries. I was really good at keeping up with journal entries, and there were good months and bad months, or just off months, not necessarily bad months, but off months where I didn't journal as much, but I definitely found a practice of journaling that worked for me, and that was through a combination of just a kind of free write style in my general journal, and then kind of a synthesized version in my Hobonichi as well. I definitely had more than 41 journal entries. I just stopped using this widget. This little notes, it was helpful. It was good. It was fine. The things that I used the most definitely were the quick links. As you can see, I have kind of just general things that I would need to use on a regular basis. And the one that I used the most was the weekly agendas. I used it pretty much every week, but that being said, I was not really hard on myself when it came to sticking with this or even my Hobonichi. Yes, having some accountability and some structure was good, especially with the Hobonichi, just because I'm like, you spend a lot of money on a planner, and then if you don't use it, you're like, I've wasted the money because all of these pages. And so that definitely kept me more accountable for that, and also in my journaling practice. With digital planning, a little bit less so, but digital planning is so practical for me that I did use it almost every week. As you can see, the last week of the year, I didn't. I was on vacation. There was nothing I needed to specifically plan out. Part of my brain, the like completionist part of my brain is like, ugh. But also there's no week 29. No biggie. I can open this up and you can see this is generally how I planned my weeks last year. Just a daily planner where I put all of my tasks in, and then I also had high priority, low priority household tasks, as well as migrating from the previous week and migrating to the next week. These are things that I got from bullet journaling, and the digital format of this just allows me to drag and drop things easier than like crossing them out and moving them on paper. I have a little calendar. I didn't really use this that much. And then just like, little banners and icons and things that make it pretty. You may notice that generally like Notion is a very aesthetically pleasing platform, and that for me is a huge appeal. Getting to make something pretty satisfies the like artist part of my brain, and also it draws me in, and I think that having that appeal is important. And so Overall, I just wanted to stick with it. So that part of it, some people might be way more utilitarian with theirs, but I like adding in little paintings that I've done and Ghibli backgrounds and cute icons. Like, that is very fun for me, and adding an element into fun into this is helpful. I think that we don't have enough opportunity to play in our lives, and so if I do have the chance to, I will. That was my last year, and now you can see my dashboard for this year, which is what we started out on. This is my dashboard for this year. Changed up the color palette a little bit, changed up the layout a little bit, as well as added some additional functionality that I'm hoping will help me with a little bit more project management stuff this year. As I said, I started working for myself full time in the last quarter of 2023. Part of that has been amping up a lot of the things and projects that I'm doing, not only for personal work and prepping for markets, which is something I started doing regularly as well, but also client work and things like that. And keeping track of all of those things as my own manager of stuff definitely was challenging. I felt like I was losing track of things sometimes. And so I just wanted to have a place to keep on top of things a little bit better. That is one of the bigger functional aspects of this setup that I just wanted to highlight compared to last year. But aesthetically, I went for kind of a green, neutral, calm. I definitely feel myself leaning more towards neutrals again. I was in like a really bright, poppy, bold color phase for the last like few years. And last year did kind of muted primaries as my theme, but this year I'm really leaning towards calmer energy. I think I need that. I just picked out this pattern that it was designed by William Morris. This is part of the Met's collection of open source imagery that you can use, and Notion actually has the Met Gallery's open source stuff included in their imagery, so they have it in the library, so you can pull from there. Or I also sometimes go onto the Met website and do that. I also just have little bits from like Pinterest on here, this little GIF, and some of these images, I just pulled them from Pinterest. Once again, the aesthetic side of it gets me good. I like it a lot. But as you can see, there are some things on here that pretty much remain the same. Weather, time, really big. I just need it. Some people might think it's really silly to have the time really big and be like, once again, you can just look at the corner. My issue is that I don't. And if it's not directly in front of my face, I will absolutely forget what time it is. So, time, really big. Weather, calendar, Pomodoro. These things have stayed the same. Quick links also stayed the same. Little notes also stayed the same. The big change is this board here. Last year when I started Notion, I definitely didn't have the full scope of the functionality of the program. That being said, I probably still don't, but at this point, I really feel like I've gotten a really good handle on really utilizing it in a much more effective way and a much more efficient way that makes my life so much easier. And there are some automations and there are some templates and things like that I think are really helpful, and I'll walk through them now. This is the board template. Notion has different form factors for different things. What you're seeing right here is all built off of a standard blank page. It's blank page, you can see right here, blank page with the mono style just because I like it, and I like typewriter, I like vintage. It gets me good. And the full width. That's it. That's all of the settings that I use for this page. And then I have just dragged and dropped widgets and embedded sites and images into this as well. And one of the things that I have embedded is a database. So the database pages are specifically places to organize a lot of data, and it's a format that Notion, I think, is probably what they're best known for. So here you can see I have this is a database page. It has limited formatting, but it is where I can control all of my stuff. this is my 2024 projects database. As you can see, I have some of my things outlined and some of the things that I know I'm going to be adding into kind of my project lineup for this year, things that I have not started, what I have next up, in progress, finished, posted. These are all categories that I've customized. This one is specifically for video projects, and so I can filter and just go by category, and I want it to be just for Instagram and YouTube. So these projects are specifically for video projects, and so it's about filming and editing, and I can check off all of these things within this view. As you can see, Notion video, film. I did check it off because I thought I had finished filming it, but here we are. I have them in just general status, so here I can see the timelines that I've set out for them, what category they are, and then you can also open up all of these into individual pages. So this, let me move myself for a second, is my page for my Valentine's Day shop launch, and these are the things that I want to get done for it. Simple. These are two of the same style of board. This is the board style view, but you can also view this database as a timeline. And so I can see how many things I'm working on at once and the view of what it's going to look like over the year, as well as viewing it in a calendar, which I find really helpful. But overall, I feel like the timeline really helps me see how many things I'm trying to do at once and then trying to spread them out, because I can then drag and drop them. So this Hobonichi video, I'm actually going to be changing up a little bit. I didn't like the style that I shot it in, and so I planned on starting that today. The real start date is going to probably be next week. And so I can just drag this over here, and I'm going to move it to the 7th. You can also see in gray where it's highlighted, that's the weekend. So maybe I'll move it to the 8th. You know, it's pretty simple, drag and drop. It'll change the info within that card as well. That's the database. If you haven't used this feature, I find it really helpful if you're trying to organize a lot of information. And once again, this is part of me running my business, and I find that really helpful. And I just have a little walking Totoro, which makes me happy. Bringing it back to the home dashboard, that was the database page, and you can insert databases in line into any of your existing pages. So that's what I've done here. One feature that I feel like I didn't take advantage of last year as much, but am really taking advantage of this year, is the one that's called callout. And this is a type of standard block. Just generally, I feel like I didn't utilize to its full potential until this year, and you can really see it in this page once I call attention to it. So when you're making a standard text box, all of them are individually boxes. This is one, this is one, this is one. And all of these are individual things that are not grouped. And so unless you're hitting Shift Enter, every time you hit Enter, it's a different group. So one thing that I always felt was a little bit difficult was wanting to have things grouped, but not wanting them to be fully linked to each other. This is where the call out box really works. So I just do this, and then this automatically is highlighted. This will be formatted to however you last did it. But now I can type in here, and then I can also say I want to add in an image. I'm going to grab just a random thing from Unsplash. These are all cookies. Not sure why, but okay. I added in this image, and this image is standalone, but I can drag it into this callout. And it will first of all give it a background, which for me, the visual blocking of having a background or an outline is really helpful. Also, it means that this whole thing is grouped. And you can do that with databases. You can do it with any standard block. Drag and drop them into a callout, and then the whole thing is grouped, which I really appreciate. I did that for pretty much every single block. And I love how it looks, and I love how it functions, because if I want to move any of these menus or blocks or anything like that, the things that I want to stay together will stay together.
As you can see, I have all of my quick links. All of these are individual things, but if I want to move my quick links menu, say I'm like, actually, I'd love for the weather to be here, but now I want my quick links to be here. I can move all of them and I don't have to worry about reformatting them in this. If they were not in a callout, I would have to potentially reformat. I'm going to undo that because I do like how they were. Having the callouts basically be a grouping function is something that I didn't consider using before, and now I love it and I don't think I'm going to go back. If you can hear Milo screaming, he thinks it's dinner time, but he's got like 45 minutes to go. So now I have all of the things that I need grouped as exactly how I want them, and if I need to ever rearrange them, it's super easy and I don't have to worry about reformatting them. Same as last year, quick links, quick notes, weather, calendar, and then the big change is the board. I think that this will generally help me stay on top of all of the things that I have. I keep so much in my brain, and having a place to have them organized and then be able to filter how I'm viewing them is going to be really helpful. I also have a shortcut if I want to make new projects. So I can add a project here. And once again, this is a call out. And these are all buttons. And I love the button feature of Notion because I am lazy. It just comes down to work smarter, not harder. And Notion is a huge part of that for me. And so if I want to say add a new reel, it will immediately add in to my not started section a card that says Instagram reel. It will already be tagged with Instagram, and so if I want to filter it into my video section, it's already there. I don't have to select anything, and then I can just open this and edit it. I can add the timeline, all of that, super easy. And I love that, and I can do that with any kind of the categories, and if I need to do it with a category that doesn't exist, I can obviously adjust it and add a new category, but these buttons are going to make it so easy for me to, every time I have an idea for a project I want to do, come in, just bop, hit the button, create the page, and then there's a record of it, and I can add it to the general timeline of what I am working on. So that's great. Now let's talk weekly agendas. I have changed some things for this year, and once again, this is a very simple page. Another William Morris background. Part of this is really just that I want a William Morris rug from, I think they're from Ruggable. I know, I looked at them this morning. So I'm just manifesting that into my life. But I also really just like William Morris's work. Anyway, here's week 1. I already made the page. As I said, I love the button feature, and this new week button is basically the button. I just need to press it, and it will duplicate the same page format for every week. I did it last year, and I'm doing it again this year, and I absolutely adore this feature. However, let's go into week 1. So, week 1, another William Morris background, just a little leaf. I gotta make it cute. But as you saw, last year I had a vertical planner. This year I'm trying to do it horizontally, and I think this will help my brain stay on track when it comes to the timeline. I feel like the vertical felt very much like it's a to-do list, and I'm just gonna migrate everything down, 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 down. And that was very much the bullet journal format that I had been using prior when I was doing solely paper planning. But I really like having things horizontally, seeing them move linearly from left to right across the week, because our brains, at least the English speaking and writing world's brains, move linearly from left to right, and apparently that depends on what language you are native in. Some people will, if they write from right to left, will view timelines from right to left, but my brain views timelines from left to right, and this helps me stay on track of it. Also, you may notice that all of my calendars and planners are Monday starts. This helps me because I do a lot of Sunday events, and having Saturday and Sunday next to each other within the same week on a planner is really helpful because I do a lot of prep on Saturdays for Sunday events. Before, when I had Saturday as the last day of the week and Sunday as a start, I'd be having all my planning, and then I'd have to start a new page for Sunday, and I couldn't see all of my Saturday prep. Yes. Hi. Milo has joined us, so if you hear a background of purring, he's a little clingy because we got back from vacation a few days ago and he missed us. Anyway, as you can see, I also added that exact same database into this page. And this way I can really look at all of the ongoing projects that I've got going on and copy them into my agenda for the week, and overall look at the timelines that I've pre-established and see what I need to do, but also have a greater view of my overall plans for all of my projects. And I really like being able to see this. I think it's really helpful. I kept the same high priority, low priority household tasks setup. That worked really well for me. Having a few low priority tasks to get me started in a day before I get into bigger tasks helps me gain momentum. So having them broken down into that is really helpful for my brain. I do want to make a little PNG of my goals for this year, same as I did last year. Just keeping those in mind was really helpful for my overall planning of the year. And keeping major goals at the forefront of my brain while getting smaller tasks done is kind of nice. Anyway, that was my Notion setup for 2024. Hopefully you found this helpful, or, if you're just nosy and you like to see how other people plan and you already have your Notion setup, maybe you just enjoyed it. If you have any Notion tips that you really like, or anything that you have been doing for your planning setup this year, let me know. I'm interested to hear. I am very excited to be getting into this new year and getting back into video content creation, and I will see you next time.